Welcome to the Ford Innovate 191 sales event, driving better SUV value for you. Take the new Ford EcoSport, featuring Ford Sync navigation with touchscreen, Ford Pass with Wi-Fi connectivity, rear-view camera, parking sensors and cruise control. And right now, you can order a 191 Ford EcoSport with an amazing 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assistance and 2 years free servicing. All from just €23,525. Ford Innovate, driving better value for you. See it for yourself at your local participating Ford dealer. Offer ends December 10th. Ford, go further. Price excludes delivery and related charges. Terms and conditions apply. See Ford.ie for details.
Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report with our guest, NFL expert, Teddy Covers. Teddy, welcome into the pod. How are you?
I'm great, Drew. How about yourself? Look at you. You sound fired up this morning, man. NFL expert. Yeah. Actually, I suppose I am an NFL expert 20 years into this business. If I'm not, the results show pretty good what I've been able to accomplish. Thank you, Drew.
Teddy, 60% NFL year to date, man. That's expert level to me. I know some people might talk about, 70, 80%, well, yada yada. 60% is about, it's great. Let's be honest. Beating the VIG at 52.38%. You're way above that. 60%. Hats off to you, Teddy. So in my book, you're an expert.
Well, I appreciate that. And we had a good NFL Sunday, no question. 3-0 yesterday, and all. 3 of them were, essentially right sides.
Well, good stuff, man. And we're taping this right now, a little after 9 a.m. Pacific time on Monday. We do have a Monday night game. This is the NFL Opening Line Report, where we're going to be throwing out the opening line and going out where the lines will shift throughout the week to get on next week, this upcoming week's card. But we do have a Monday night game tonight, Tennessee, Houston. Any quick opinions on the Monday nighter?
It's a clear pass for me. The Texans, I think, are a notch or two better than the Titans, but you ask Houston to lay more than a field goal. They're 1-5 ATS, laying 3 or more this season. They've not been able to win games by margin. And Tennessee defensively, Vrabel, let's not forget, he was the defensive coordinator of the Texans last year. It's a pretty good idea, perhaps, of how to attack that defense and or how to slow down that offense. But all that being said, Tennessee again last week, another, that was a complete no-show. In Indy, Mariota's not healthy, and, they were outgained pretty badly in the first meeting. They were outgained by 2 yards of play in the first meeting, and still, found a way to get the money, or get the win, I should say. But the Tennessee, it's a hard team for me to trust in a game where they're probably going to need to put points on the board, and I don't know that Mariota is going to be capable of doing that tonight. So I'm passing on the game. I wasn't really close to getting involved.
And guys, we just came off of the holiday weekend. We're back to a little bit more normal NFL slate with a Thursday nighter, full Sunday slate, and then the Monday nighter. Teddy, is there anything to kind of take away? I guess you said in your 20-plus years of NFL handicapping, of any tidbits that NFL bettors out there might learn coming after a holiday weekend, as far as, the schedule was a little bit different. These guys have families, lives as well. Anything you would look to kind of take advantage of this week?
Well, it's funny because one of the things that we as a handicappers get to experience Thanksgiving week is the moral equivalent of what NFL teams do when they play on Thursday night, the short week where everything gets rushed and everything gets pushed ahead. And clients want plays. They hate it when you put out so you end up, the stuff you normally do on Wednesday, end up doing on Monday night, and the stuff you normally do on Thursday, you end up doing on Tuesday, and so on and so forth, to make sure the clients get plays in appropriate fashion for the holiday weekend. So you get a sense of what these Thursday night rush prep games actually are for the NFL teams. That to me, even though I hate it, in the first. Thanksgiving week is always just, it's just insanity Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's no way around it. Whether you're in town, whether you're out of town, it is what it is. But it's a learning experience when it comes to understanding what some of these teams and coaching staffs are going through as they recover for a Thursday night game, particularly when they have travel. But in terms of how that's going to affect, what do you expect after a holiday weekend for the NFL? Nothing. It's not like the routines were that changed. And of course, obviously, we're going to talk about the Thursday night game in just a minute. But the other 4 teams that played on Thanksgiving will all have extra rest going to their next games. And the teams that played normally played normally. So post-Thanksgiving, you want to shift into a December mentality when it comes to the NFL. And NFL, I do break up the season into quartiles, and this is the last quartile of the season where you really want to be, forget anything that you had about preseason expectations, about how good teams were supposed to be. It's all about what teams actually are right now. And I tend to make bigger power rating adjustments than normal around this time of year on a week-to-week basis, because I want to get ahead of some of this stuff and not behind it as teams change their stripes as they go down the stretch.
All right, Teddy, thanks for explaining that. And guys, Teddy talking about getting out plays. We do have a special for this podcast. His 3-day all-access package for just $29. That's $30 off the retail price using the coupon code TEDDY29. It's a great way to start with Sportsmemo. Also, keep in mind, it's Monday. That means $9 Monday. Any play up on sportsmemo.com is just $9 today and every Monday. So it's a great time to jump on board. Check it out at sportsmemo.com. Teddy's also starting off his college basketball with a lid lifter. Love the title, Teddy. There you go, on college hoops. Huh? Getting excited for college hoops?
Yeah, and of course, with college, I understand that college hoops been going on a couple of weeks. I also understand that when I'm doing NBA and college football and NFL, I do not have the time to delve into college hoops the way I need to. So I always wait till after Thanksgiving. And the years that I haven't, I'm always mad at myself for not waiting until after Thanksgiving because I don't win. We're rested, ready, and we've got a good play tonight in college hoops. So it's my lid lifter, even though it's not the season lid lifter. And I think we're going to cash a winning bet if you get on board with that tonight. But yeah, that $29 offer for 3 days. We'll be involved in NBA and college hoops on a daily basis moving forward. And obviously, conference championship games this weekend in college football and NFL Week 13, which we're about to preview.
And Teddy's coupon code is TEDDY29 at checkout for the 3-day all-access with Teddy coverage. We got 301-302, New Orleans at Dallas, the Thursday nighter. Looks like minus 7.5 pretty much. Some sevens out there as well. That's the Saints laying on the road, Teddy, with 52.5 being the total.
Yeah, and with every game, we do the same format every week. I'm going to give the look-ahead line, which is the bettable line from last week at Superbook USA or the Westgate Superbook or whatever you want to call them. But here in Vegas, a bettable line on this game so we can see how last week's results influenced the number. I'm also going to give you my power rating number for these games, and then we'll look and see where these lines are at. So look headline here with Saints 7.5, my power rating number. And again, I've got the Saints a field goal better than anybody in the NFL. My power rating number is only New Orleans 6.5. So to see the market here, 7.5, it just speaks volumes about the betting bandwagon that this Saints team has had. Again, their last non-cover came in week 2. And when you're an elite team with I don't know how Drew Brees doesn't win the MVP award, with an MVP at quarterback, and obviously, we still got 5 weeks left in the season. There's a way Drew Brees won't win it. But right now, as good a season as Mahomes has had and Gurley, Brees wins this award. So you have an MVP quarterback, you have a team that's covered every week. They didn't even play particularly well on Thanksgiving night and still got the money against Atlanta, much to the chagrin of every bookmaker in town. But the Saints betting bandwagon, to say it's enormous, isn't strong enough. And I'll say to this, Dallas is a very different team now than they were a month ago. All of a sudden, Amari Cooper making big-time plays. And when Cooper's making plays, Zeke Elliott's got room to run. That being said, Elliott not healthy. He's got a hip injury for a Thursday game. That could be a problem. His status will affect this number. If Zeke Elliott isn't on the practice field and he missed practice, they practiced on Sunday. When he missed practice yesterday, if he misses practice, we will see Saints money trickle in. Right now, 7.5. The number, I'd say it's more likely to, I don't know, though. The Saints have such a big betting bandwagon. It's not going to hurt you to take the Dallas plus 7.5 now. Although if Elliott for some reason doesn't play, that number obviously is likely to skyrocket. But Elliott not being able to practice is not the same as Elliott not being able to play for whatever that's worth.
Teddy, moving on to the Sunday slate, we got 3-6-7, 3-6-8, LA Rams at the Detroit Lions. Looks like the Rams laying doubles on the road. I believe they are off of a bye. 54.5 being the total.
What schedule are you looking at, my friend? 351, 352, Colts and Jaguars coming up next. We're going in Don Best's rotation order, as we always do.
I don't know what's up with my screen. You're right. My bad, man.
That's
what
okay.
do we got? Yeah, we got Indy Jacksonville. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 351-352. We'll try it again. Indy at Jacksonville. Looks like Indianapolis 3 or 3.5, depending where you're shopping. 48 the total, Teddy.
Now you recognize that I have my notes in order game by game.
Absolutely.
When
totally
you flop them, man, I'm in trouble. But we like to go through rotation order. I know that's the way many of you look at these games. So we like to keep it that way. Indy and the Jags. This is and then let's get the wee-woos. Let's get the this is your emergency betting alert game. There are threes out there. The threes will not be there. Indy's going to close 3.5 or higher. Look ahead line was only 2.5. My powering number is 4.5. Jacksonville's been thoroughly devalued. They've lost 7 in a row. Their season's done. They were, no show at Buffalo. All right, they fought in the end, but the stats aren't there. The effort isn't there. The quarterback play isn't there. Indy's got a betting bandwagon now, and I know that the Colts, the markets are going to have some skepticism of Indy. Their schedule has been very friendly during this current, 5-game winning streak right now. But, and they're also a little bit banged up, which is a concern. Mack got hurt. They had some injuries, a couple injuries on the offensive line yesterday that are worth noting. But Indy's an it team right now. They're trending up. Jacksonville is anything but an it team right now. This line's going to 3.5. There are threes out there. I don't think they'll be there for much longer.
And Teddy, just to make sure, we got Chargers-Pittsburgh up next, right?
Sure, it's a rotational. All you got to do is look at the betting numbers.
Oh, yeah, 353, 354, but just wanted to make sure because with the flex scheduling, this is the Sunday nighter, I believe, correct?
Sure.
LA Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers, 52 being the total, seeing it Chris, 51.5 at Chris, actually. Looks like -3 with juice, some 3.5s out there. That's the Steelers laying at home.
Look ahead line, Pittsburgh -4.5. My powering number is Pittsburgh -4. But what did we see? We saw the Chargers, after a very slow start, reel off 45 unanswered against Arizona, with Phillip Rivers, completing his first 25 pass attempts before an incomplete. And of all my favorite things about that game, and I saw this last half, I'm like, I have to talk about it, even though it didn't have any impact. Then Geno Smith, after the score was 42-10, the Chargers bring in Geno Smith, who is my single favorite bet against player of all time in the NFL. When he came out of West Virginia, everybody knew that Geno Smith was not an NFL quarterback. He was great in the system. He was not an NFL quarterback. Obviously, he crashed and burned in New York. He still bounces around in backup roles. After Rivers has completed 25 in a row and 28 of 29, Geno Smith comes in and throws 3 incomplete passes and hits the bench, which I thought was beautiful. It's like, you can't pick apart this defense. You can't pick apart any defense. Obviously, a impressive performance from L.A. Yesterday. We're not likely to see Geno Smith get off the bench in this ballgame. But again, that was Arizona. This is Pittsburgh off a loss, and it's off a loss in which the Steelers were absolutely the better of the two teams for the entire game. But, the weird turnovers, the fumble into the end zone that ends up being a touchback, -4, the interception at the end of the ball game to save it. Pittsburgh has games like this every year, 1 or 2 of them. They had one yesterday. It was pretty clear. They were due for one. The markets were on it a little bit, but they tend to bounce back strongly off those games. I'm a little bit surprised at how much Chargers money we've seen. But, of course, yesterday was the bandwagon day for all the Chargers guys. You see it on Twitter, look, remember, this is Phillip Rivers' best team. It's like they haven't noticed anything until they blow somebody out who's awful. And Arizona was just awful yesterday. Denver wasn't. But, obviously, the early money and the market lean off the 4.5 look ahead. 3.5 right now. I don't think it goes to 3 all the way. It might. But this isn't an emergency like Indy is an emergency. The Indy will go to 3.5. Pittsburgh, I think they end up closing 3.5. I would be surprised if the Steelers don't get some betting market love, even off their debacle in Denver on Sunday.
Teddy, got a bunch of 10 a.m. Pacific kicks to go over here. We got Carolina off of a tough home loss, hitting the road, division road game against Tampa Bay, -3.5 or 4, depending where you're shopping, 56.5 the total.
Yeah, look ahead line here was Panthers -4.5. My powering number is Panthers -3. And this one, the 3.5, 4, I haven't gotten the sense that the markets are, I don't think it moves to 4. In fact, if you want a +4 with Tampa, might not be a bad idea to grab that right now. Some great quotes after the game from Cam Newton saying, 3 weeks ago, if you'd have asked me if we were going to be in this position, we're now they're on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. Said I would have thought you were crazy. And Carolina certainly had their chances, but they made mistakes. And then Rivera played for the not to lose, and lo and behold, the missed field goal, and then boom, Seattle marches down the field and in the end and kicks the game winner, and that's that. It was a little bit bizarre the way Carolina lost it. That being said, they're a lot better than Tampa, and Tampa, coming off a most rare victory, they finally found a team that they could take advantage of in San Francisco. And Jameis Winston didn't try to be. It was very, very noticeable yesterday, and just especially for total bettors. This Bucs offense that's been chuck it downfield, was not that in yesterday's game. It was Winston trying to avoid mistakes, a lot of check down throws, a lot of short throws, and a very different total result than what we've seen from the Bucs moving forward. Early money looks like it's on the over here. Carolina cashed over pretty easily yesterday, despite all the red zone miscues, and there were many of them for the Panthers in that contest. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game has a different feel to it than the over we just saw between Carolina and Seattle.
Teddy, we got Baltimore at Atlanta up next. Not a full marketplace here. Just seeing 2.5s, minus 105 at BetOnline and Heritage pretty much. But Baltimore, the quarterback, I guess you could say controversy. Not really sure. You would know better than me. How are you seeing Baltimore, Atlanta?
Well, let's start with the fact that the markets aren't going to get any answer they want for this, because Harbaugh's not going to tell us who he's going to start. He made that clear. He's like, yeah, well, we'll see. It's not like they have to tell you if someone's hurt, but they don't have to tell you who he's going to start. Flacco was inactive this last week. I don't know that he'll be inactive this week. He might be. And if he's hurt, then you obviously know if he's inactive, that it's going to be Lamar Jackson. But, all of this Baltimore love is what the Ravens have done the last 2 weeks. They beat two bottom feeders at home without having to throw the football a whole lot. Now they're on the road against a Falcons team that can score. I spent a lot of time with this game and the points, but there was no look-ahead line here because of the questions about Flacco and Jackson. And, I spent, in terms of setting a number that I was comfortable with for Atlanta and for Baltimore, I ended up with a pick'em here. And that was adjustment. I could have easily come with Atlanta minus a half or Atlanta minus one. Baltimore with Lamar. Look, Lamar Jackson was a great college player. He's not a good NFL quarterback right now. And the fact that they just beat two bad teams at home, and the win against Oakland was so fluky. They had the punt return touchdown. They had the defensive score to cover. It wasn't like they lined up and blew the Raiders off the ball in that ball game. They didn't. Of course, the Falcons season's over at 4-7. But is Atlanta going to play like that? I didn't get any sense that's going to be the case. And the Falcons will be the team that comes in here with extra time to prepare for whatever that's worth. So 2.5 I thought was a little bit rich for Baltimore. That being said, markets, again, it's very early, and this is not a fully lined game, but the markets seem pretty comfortable with that number right about now. I'm not seeing any leading indicator that it's moving off 2.5. Whether Flacco plays or not, although you have to upgrade Baltimore for this road game if they have their normal starting quarterback, not Lamar Jackson.
Teddy, two things. One, as far as Harbaugh not telling, this is the perfect example of it being a huge competitive advantage because one quarterback is more, running mobile and the other one is a pocket passer pretty much only. Do you agree with that scenario? And also, how much would you upgrade Baltimore?
Like a point and a half. Probably more than that. And thinking about it, for the purposes of this game, I would upgrade them more than that. Not that I believe in Flacco as being the answer, but I think they're going to need Flacco to win this ball game. So I would make a bigger adjustment if he played. But again, all you're going to hear is whether he's practicing. You're not going to know who the starter is going to be and what Harbaugh is going to do in this ball game. It is the type of gamesmanship that makes sense. And, he's a good coach and has been for quite some time. Despite the fact that the Ravens have been fairly mediocre in recent years and are mediocre again this season at 6-5.
Teddy, we got 359-360 Cleveland, Houston. Another kind of not a full marketplace here, seeing 4.5 or 5 at Bet Online and Heritage pretty much.
Yeah, I'm seeing mostly 4.5s right now across the board. Cantor's got a number here in Vegas as the South Point. But, of course, the Texans play on Monday night. Look ahead line here was Houston -7. My powering number, and Cleveland was one of the teams that I adjusted significantly. My powering number is 5. The market's at 4.5, so we're in the same ballpark here. But, the Browns have played good football, not mediocre football. They play good football. They wiped the field with Cincy yesterday, and it's a team that that earlier in the season maybe they blow that lead, maybe they get challenged or tested. Oh, that's not happening with the Browns right now. You watch that squad personnel wise, they're pretty good. There's a lot of upside for Cleveland now, and the market's starting to see it. Obviously, with the 4.5 type of number, big wise guy move on Cleveland yesterday. They went off the favorite in some shops at Cincinnati, despite they had a 25-game road losing streak. And the markets were dead right on that one. There is some betting market love for Cleveland, and that will continue as long as they play like they did or anywhere near like they did yesterday.
361-362 AFC East battle. Buffalo traveling down to South Florida to take on the Miami Dolphins. 40.5 the total. Looks like the Dolphins -5 at home. Look good, Teddy. I was thinking of you yesterday until that fourth quarter, man. You that W.
Oh, I need it. And again, I got the Dolphins over. So the season win report's going to be real good. We've already cashed three. When I cashed 3 out of 5 plays before Thanksgiving, that's right sides. But Miami, after that 3-0 start, it's going to be a sweat. They have Buffalo this week. They have a team they're supposed to be able to beat. Well, the Bills looked pretty good yesterday. I'll tell you that. They cashed a wire-to-wire winner with me. So I was talking about you have to make an adjustment. So you have to make an adjustment at Tannehill, Osweiler. Tannehill's a lot better than Osweiler. It showed yesterday. There was the downfield passing game was there. Miami tried to make plays, and despite the play calling with the lead in the fourth quarter that Adam Gase is getting criticized for, I'll tell you what, Gase, he's not going to win He's not going to win a single vote. And if they'd won that game, man, Adam Gase, for what he's done with Miami this year, deserves Coach of the Year consideration. Because that roster is probably, talent-wise, 29, 30, 31 in the NFL. They're not very good. The injuries have been, have riddled them, and they lost their quarterback for a month, and they've had all kinds of issues. And yet here they are laying points. I have to think that Buffalo takes money. There was no look-ahead line here, questions versus for both teams at the quarterback position. My number's only Dolphins -3 right now, and that's after making an adjustment. Tannehill to Osweiler, Osweiler Tannehill, I should say. But the Bills and the Bills showed some vulnerability defensively yesterday. I was a little bit surprised against the Jags, even though they came back and won that game moving away. But I'm surprised at how much respect Miami's gotten in the markets here. I would think this number is going to tick down. It already has. Opened 6. Now we're looking at 5.5, 5. I wouldn't be surprised if it ticks down a little bit more.
Teddy, next game up, we got Chicago, New York Giants. Not seeing much of a marketplace here. Seeing a 4.5. That's the Bears laying on the road, and that's only a Bet Online on my screen.
Yeah, and look at line here with Chicago -4.5. My powering number with Trubisky is Bears -4. I don't think it's a big drop-off. There's a drop-off from Trubisky to Daniel, but Daniel's okay, certainly, as far as the backup QB goes. But we don't know yet which QB is going to go. So the market's that 4.5 is it's the only one out there. There's basically no market right now for Bears Giants. But I do expect Chicago to be the road chalk of more than a field goal, regardless of which quarterback they start this week.
Teddy, the game I jumped the gun on, the LA Rams, Detroit Lions. Looks like Rams laying doubles on the road, 54.5 the total.
You keep trying to skip Denver Cincy, man. There's no line on it. 365, 366.
Have at it. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, there's no line on it. They're not. It's all Andy. They don't know if Dalton's going to play. They don't know if AJ Green is going to play. I'll put it this way: the Bengals were 2.5 -120 on the look-ahead line. That was a bad line. Denver's getting some market love. Cincy off another devastating loss, losing their QB, losing Green. Broncos will be road chalk here. My powering number with Dalton is Denver -2. and I don't think Dalton's going to play. It may well be Jeff Driscoll. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Broncos open a field goal or higher in what looks like the closing stages, finally, of the Marvin Lewis era. And Cincy, although that may not be the case, and since they played really hard down the stretch last year in a lost season, we'll see if they do it 2 years in a row. Now we can talk about the Rams and the Lions.
Let's go, man. We got the Rams for the third time. 9.5 to 10.5, depending where you're shopping. 54.5 the total, Teddy.
Okay, Rams had a bye last week, right?
They did.
Okay, Lions played on Thursday.
Correct.
Look ahead line, 7. My powering number, 7. Markets, 10. That's all Detroit. That's all Detroit. The markets are saying the Lions are done. Stick a fork in them, which I don't disagree. But it is a significant adjustment for Detroit. And, of course, I don't love the team that went into the bye on a huge emotional high off a win, as successful a first half of the season that you could possibly ask for. And now they got to lay doubles on the road or 9.5 on the road coming out of the bye. You worry about the focus for the LA Rams. But, anytime there won't be any public money on Detroit. The Rams are a pretty high-profile team, and the Lions. And when you look at the Lions week after week, it feels like Jim Caldwell. They're so inconsistent under Caldwell. 1 week it's the offense doesn't work. Next week it's the defense doesn't work. Next week the special teams break down. Lions under Matt Patricia. They're so inconsistent from week to week. 1 week the offense doesn't work. It's the exact same thing that you've been reading about the Lions for the last 5 years. They changed coaches. From a leadership standpoint, I'm not convinced that I would want Matthew Stafford as my starting quarterback. But that's what the Lions got. And at 4-7. Line movement here. We're seeing a tick to the under, and some of the 10s are betting down to 9.5. But this will close 9.5 at the sharper books, and probably 10 or higher at the public books. You won't see any recreational players or many recreational players betting on the Detroit Lions.
Teddy, last 10 a.m. Pacific kick, 369-370, Arizona, Green Bay, 46 the total. Looks like the Packers laying 14 at home.
Yeah, and again, the look-ahead line here was 11.5. My powering number is 11. Green Bay just lost. Their season is over. 4-6-1. A 9-6-1 doesn't make the playoffs in the NFC, I don't think. Even if they win out. And I didn't get the sense last night they're going to win out. You know what I mean? Minnesota, the Packers, 14-7. And the rest of the game, it's punt, 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 one late field goal drive. The offense could not move the football. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have weapons. That's the bottom line of it. So to see this team laying 14 seems a little bit rich for this better. But, of course, if you're talking about Arizona, Arizona was every bit as bad. As that 10-0 start turns into the 45-10 final, and it was merited. When you allow the opposing quarterback to complete every pass, 25-25 in the first half. It's embarrassing. Josh Rosen, he's just getting beat up back there. The offensive line isn't good. I'm impressed with Christian Kirk, the rookie. But there's, the bright spots for Arizona. Like that's what you find. You're like, oh, well, here's the one wide receiver can make a couple plays. All right, you got it's ugly for Arizona, and heading up to the cold off a beatdown like the one they suffered against the Packers team that's supposed to be hungry. Yeah, you could see why this number is 2 touchdowns, even though from a powering perspective and from a, is Green Bay going to show perspective? There's no way I can lay the big price with the Packers.
All right, we got the 1 p.m. Pacific kicks coming up next. And, guys, remember the coupon code TEDDY29 at checkout for his 3-day all-access for just $29. That's $30 off the posted price at sportsmemo.com, hitting 60% overall NFL year-to-date, and starting off his college basketball season tonight as well with college basketball lid lifter at sportsmemo.com, and it's $9 Monday as well, so a lot of specials at sportsmemo.com. Check it out. 371-372, Kansas City at Oakland. AFC West battle here. Teddy, looks like, 14.5 across the board, 56 the total.
Yeah, and I appreciate the promo, Drew. I really do. Thank you. I got to give you a little promo, man, because you're college hoop. I know it's college hoop season right now. You've been killing it. College hoops totals the last 2 years, 98 and 63, plus 34 units, 61%. That's a pretty good run, my friend. I know college basketball season is here on full display right now, so I appreciate you taking advantage of an offer with me. You may want to check out Drew's College Hoops. It's been very, very good. When it comes to Kansas City and Oakland, I mean, look, the loss yesterday for the Raiders, it was a little bit fluky. There were, the big plays did not go in Oakland's favor in that ballgame. And Derek Carr going in saying, I want to screw up our draft choice. I want to win every game. We're coming to play. And then they lose by 17 to a mediocre opponent. It's hard for the markets are not giving Oakland a lot of love right now, and understandably so. That being said, a couple of leading indicator books just popped to 14.5 here. This number does seem a little behind. I guess it is KC coming off a loss, but it's KC coming off, a huge game and a bye, and now playing a divisional opponent on the road and ask them to win by this type of margin. And, is the offense going to be in full rhythm after getting a week off? I expect some effort from Oakland. I haven't, it's a first-year coach. I know a lot of the guys are gone and the veterans aren't really playing and the talent isn't really there, but I'm expecting the effort to be there. Look-ahead line here was Kansas City minus 14, my powering number. And again, I've got Oakland ranked equal with Arizona, tied for last in the NFL. My powering number still only 13.5 on this one.
Today we get the New York Jets, Tennessee Titans. Not seeing much out there in the marketplace. Should we? You want to break this one down?
Yeah, I mean, just like with Cleveland, Houston. These two, they play. Houston plays tonight. Tennessee plays tonight. So we're seeing the Titans 9.5 as a look ahead, and there was no 9.5 as the advanced number on that. A handful of books have it. There was no look ahead line for this one based on the Jets QB question. I'm not convinced that we're going to have a line here at anytime soon, based on the questions about the Jets QB. And it's not like they make a huge power rating adjustment from Darnold to McCown, but the markets like to know who the quarterback's going to be. My number here is 9, and the markets are at 9.5. Of course, the 9 prior to the Monday Night Football game.
375-376 Minnesota at New England, 48.5 minus 6.5 New England laying at home, and it's limited marketplace. I'm just seeing that number at BetOnline.
Yeah, I can't figure out. Look, I always know why the game's not on the board. I don't know why this game's not on the board right now. Why is it? And that to me is like, all right. Well, I mean, it's a red flag. There's some injury I don't know, and it's what is it? So. My powering number was 6. My look ahead line here was 6, and this is a game that I've got work to do on because we don't know why the game's not on the board. There's no little note on the Don Best screen saying, all right, this is why it's not on the board. I don't know what's going on with this game, and I don't like going on podcasts talking about games that I don't know what's going on, especially when it's a marquee matchup like the Vikings and the Patriots. Patriots getting the cover yesterday thanks to a goal line stand. They also got Gronk back in the lineup. Minnesota, obviously, with the win and cover against Green Bay. Defensively looked pretty good, and Kirk Cousins was significantly better protected last night than he was in the previous matchup against Chicago.
2 games left, 377, 378. San Francisco at Seattle, 46 the total. Looks like the Seahawks minus 10 at home.
Look ahead line was Seattle minus 7.5. My powering number, Seattle minus 9.5. Not surprised the markets are sitting here on 10. It was pretty rough for San Fran yesterday. And, of course, the back-to-back road games on opposite ends of the country. Seattle, no easy place to play. Seattle's, playing. And you read the comments out of Pete Carroll, this team, are a lock for the postseason at 6-5. There was a fair bit of market love for San Fran yesterday. I was surprised. And, by the way, and this is one that I'm kicking myself because I should have released it. Whenever you see an opposing player getting arrested or cut the night before the game, it's never good. The road never good for any team. But when there's a major distraction the night before, just bet on the other team. It's just one of those things. And we saw that with Reuben Foster, obviously getting arrested, getting cut, kicked off the team after a domestic violence incident at the hotel. I thought that was a major distraction for San Fran that they won't have this week. But with these bottom feeder teams, there's a leap of faith you have to take. They're going to show, and they're going to fight 60 minutes. And San Fran didn't fight hard for 60 minutes in yesterday's loss, and that's certainly a concern when you're going up to face the Seahawks.
We got the Monday Nighter to finish it up, Teddy. And guys, remember, sportsmemo.com, it's $9 Monday. That's any play up on the board, just $9. And that's doesn't just have to go tonight. So if a guy's play goes, one of the handicappers' plays goes tomorrow, Saturday, anything, it's only $9 today. So check it out. Mondays, sportsmemo.com. The Monday Nighter next week, Teddy, we got Washington at Philadelphia, 44 the total. Looks like the Eagles, -7, couple -6.5s out there. They're laying that at home.
So we had a winning weekend in football overall. We obviously swept on Sunday, but I had a loser. I had a half-point. I had two freaking so I had a half-point losers when the Redskins missed an extra point, and then when Arizona State wasn't the right side, but they had a 2-point conversion to cover. So I was and then didn't convert it. So I was on the wrong end of both of those. You know, which you hate the missed extra point. F you, missed extra point to lose a cover on that, and the 2-point conversion. Well, when that happens, but the missed extra points just make me crazy. And that's what, of course, happened in the Redskins' loss to Dallas, losing by 8 instead of by 7. It was obviously a very big point with a game at 7.5 for most of the week. That being said, you know, the Redskins, they made a bunch of mistakes in that game. They did not play well. Had they covered, they would have come through the back door. They've lost now 3 of the last 4. Dealing with, you know, I mean, Colt McCoy is making mistakes. And backup quarterback, not that Alex Smith. You know, the whole concept of Alex Smith is he doesn't make mistakes. McCoy does. By the way, look headline here, Philly -6.5. My powering number, Philly -6. The markets are right there in that range. There was a lot to like about the Eagles' come-from-behind win against the Giants yesterday. Philly was getting badly outplayed in that ballgame. They had an ugly start. They could have gotten wiped, and instead, you know, both sides of football bearing down, making plays when it mattered most, and they found a way to win. They didn't cover the spread. You know, wire to wire, Giants plus the points was fairly easy. But the fact that the Eagles were able to come back and win that game, a little bit of momentum in the positive direction off of that New Orleans debacle. They were able to do it despite the fact that their entire starting secondary was out. And when you're laying 6.5, 7 points, and you got your entire starting secondary is hurt, you know the back door is going to be open. 44. I have to think this total gets bet up a little bit between now and then, but the number 6.5, 7. I'm not getting it. I feel like there's going to be some Eagles love here, and this line more likely to close at -7 than at -6 per se. I don't think it's going to hurt you if you like the Eagles to get on board right now.
All right, Teddy, great stuff. NFL opening line report. Anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
I don't know. I've been talking nonstop since we started this thing. So thanks for listening. I appreciate, and I really appreciate all the, you know, we get a lot of good feedback on this on Twitter. Of course, you can follow me at Teddy_covers. You can follow Drew at Drew Martin Betts. I love the positive feedback, man. We really appreciate it. Thanks for letting your voice be heard, and if you give us something good, maybe we'll talk about it on air next week. So enjoy the games. Good luck. May the line moves all be in your favor. How does that sound?
I like it, Teddy. Yeah, Twitter shout-outs and all.
No. How about may all the missed extra points be in your favor? How about that? That'll be better. Yeah.
Even better, man. Great way to end it. Best of luck with your bets out there. We'll be back tomorrow with some college basketball and NHL podcasts.
F26583K, I hear my doorbell ringing. The Eircode worked a treat this time. I think I will start singing. Eircode, my Christmas gifts are sorted.
When shopping online, don't forget to add your Eircode to help a delivery service find you. To find an Eircode, visit the finder at eircode.ie and find life easier.